Issue 11. Dear Teens, there is no free lunch. You are not entitled to anything you don't sweat and struggle for. If you see a problem, don't ask, "Why doesn't somebody do something?" Ask instead, "Why don't I do something?" This world needs more shepherds and fewer sheep. Never work just for money or power. These won't save your soul or build a decent family or help you sleep at night. Don't be afraid of taking risks or being criticized. If you don't want to be criticized, then don't say anything and don't do anything, and you won't be anything either. Don't be afraid to fail. Failure is the surest way to learn how to do things right. Failing is a terrible thing, but not as bad as not trying. You must learn good manners. Please and thank you are very important expressions. Being considerate will take you farther in life than any college degree. Never think life is not worth living, no matter how hard it gets. If you get into a tight place, everything is going against you, and you don't think you can hang on even a minute longer, don't give up, for that is precisely the moment that the tide will turn in your favor. It's always darkest before dawn. You were born as God's original, so try not to become someone else's copy. Remember that you are in charge of your own attitude. The only person you can control is yourself. You set the tone for your life every minute of the day. You have probably noticed how one action can prompt others to follow suit, how one insult fuels another, how one sour person can ruin any meeting. But, on the other hand, how any unexpected act of generosity and kindness provokes similar behavior among others. To succeed, you either have to be the smartest person in your field or the nicest. Which role do you think you can master? Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. Learning from your own mistakes or those of others is the difference between experience and education. What does it mean? 1. This world needs more shepherds and fewer sheep. 2. Failure is the surest way to learn how to do things right. 3. Everything is going against you. 4. It's always darkest before dawn. 5. You were born as God's original. 6. The only person you can control is yourself. Comprehension. 1. Why shouldn't we work for just money or power? Then, what should we work for? 2. Why shouldn't we be afraid of being criticized? 3. Why shouldn't we be afraid to fail? 4. Why shouldn't we give up when we know we can't succeed?
Teen Talk. One. Why do people make the wrong choices in life? 2. What do you want to achieve? What must you do to accomplish it? Be specific in your answer. 3. What would you say to your friend if he or she thought life were not worth living? 4. What would you say if one of your schoolmates told you a college education isn't necessary? Do you think that person might have a good point? 5. What are the 5 most valuable lessons in life that you can think of? 6. Make your own list of dear adults. There should be at least 5 items on it.
Opinion samples. 1. Kids are still kids after all, not adults. They lack life experience, but they are idealistic, thoughtless about consequences, naive, curious, bold, and full of energy to boot. In their exuberance, they are apt to be and do whatever strikes them at the moment. But this is the way children have always been, and they are likely to remain that way in the future as well. For the most part, the only ones who go seriously astray are the ones who lack adequate parental guidance or self-control. Nearly all parents love their children and want the best for them. But unfortunately, they may be too busy with their own concerns or too forgetful of their own childhoods to anticipate what kinds of trouble their own kids may get into. This neglect, whether intentional or not, is the most dangerous obstacle their offspring are likely to face.
Questions. 1. In what ways are adults the opposite of children? 2. How are children most likely to harm themselves or society? 3. In terms of the essay above, how would you define successful parenting?
2. One must develop balance above all else. We need to be confident in our own ability and judgment, but at the same time be able to realize that other viewpoints may be equally valid. We should strive for success and yet realize that private pleasures, such as enjoying time with our friends and family, reading a good poem or seeing a great play, or even actively pursuing a meaningless hobby, are just as important as having a lot of money or fame. At the same time, though, whatever it is that we value in our lives, we must learn to embrace its opposite, or we will never be complete.
Questions. 1. Do you think any of your classmates have the kind of balance discussed above? Give concrete examples. 2. What is the best way to develop balance in oneself? 3. What opposite do you need to embrace in order to become complete?
Dialogue. I've made up my mind. I'm going to become a physicist.
I thought you wanted to be a professional athlete.
I did, but I changed my mind.
Why?
A couple of reasons, actually. First, the odds against success in sports are pretty daunting, and even big-name athletes can only be at the top of their game for a short while. But what do they do for the rest of their lives if their best moments are in their past? What can they look forward to?
Yes, that makes sense. What else?
Well, second, I realized how selfish it is to seek a lot of money just by having fun. Does a football millionaire really deserve to make so much more money than a nurse or a teacher or a firefighter?
But what does that have to do with being a physicist?
I could pursue that career my entire life, no matter how old I get. And if I do my job correctly, I can help humankind understand the world better, and that might make everyone's life better somehow.
Well, I certainly wish you success in your chosen profession, but you keep changing your mind. You've had at least 4 definite plans in the last 3 years.
Well, this time I'm sure. What about you? Do you still want to be a dancer?
Absolutely. This is the only passion I've ever had, ever since I saw the red shoes when I was 6 years old.
But dancers have a harder time making a living than even athletes. Most of them practice just as hard as any football player, but the footballer gets onto the field on a regular basis, while the dancer may only rarely get on the stage.
I know that, but even if I get to perform only one time, the sense of achievement would be worth all the sacrifice. It's not about money, it's about self-expression and accomplishment.
And there aren't very many old dancers. It's a young person's job.
I know that too, although there are exceptions. A few great dancers, if they're lucky enough to avoid injury, can perform for decades. But it would be worth doing even if for a short time. Not doing it at all would kill my soul.
You are definitely dedicated. But what if you are a normal dancer with a short, poorly paid career? When your professional life is over, what will you do then?
Maybe I could teach dancing or become a critic or a choreographer. Or maybe I could go into something not related to dancing at all. But at least I would know that, for a brief moment at least, I had made all my dreams come true. Anything I did after that would be enriched by the knowledge that I had done exactly what I wanted.
After listening to you, maybe I'll rethink my position. After all, it's possible to become a sportsman first and then go into physics afterwards, right?
As long as you are doing something you love, it doesn't matter what it is.
Questions. 1. Have you decided what you want to do? What inspired you to make that choice? 2. What are the good things about your chosen career path? What are the negative points? 3. Just in case things don't work out for you in terms of your chosen profession, do you have any backup plans?
Read and discuss. They call it puppy love. People think that teenagers can't really be in love, or that they don't know what real love is. They think we are too young and inexperienced to be able to love another person fully and for real. They think we can only experience puppy love. But I am here to tell them that they are wrong. I'm only 18, and I have been in love, but because I questioned whether that love was authentic, I lost it. One summer, I met this guy. He was 3 years older than I. He was very interesting, cute, kind, fun, and he always made me laugh. Our attraction was instantaneous and mutual, and we quickly started dating. We did everything together. I mean, we loved being with each other. Even routine occasions became extraordinary experiences when we were together. My family considered him part of our family, and his family considered me family as well. He was not only my boyfriend, he was my best friend, my soulmate, a constant companion whom I was in love with. Unfortunately, sometimes I listen to what other people tell me instead of following my own lead. You know, give in to peer pressure. If my friends say something serious and work hard to convince me, I usually give in. To make a long story short, one of my best friends kept telling me I should dump him. She pointed out all of his negative traits and convinced me that they were worse than his good ones. She also persuaded me that we were both too young to be in love and that we must have fooled each other into thinking our relationship was deeper than it was. So, I foolishly called him up and told him our love affair was over. He wanted to know why I was ending our relationship. I didn't really have a reason, of course. How could I tell him that I was dumping him because my friend told me to? So I told him a tremendous lie, that I actually liked someone else better, and that I had cheated on him. I tried to hold back my tears, but I managed to whisper, "Sorry," before I quickly hung up the phone and began to sob. After that, I felt sad all the time. He kept on calling and calling, wanting to see me, but I couldn't bring myself to look him in the face after what I had done to him. Eventually, the calls stopped, and I never heard from him again. It took a long time for me to pull myself together. I tried to date other boys, but no one could ever compare with him. I knew he had moved on with his life, but I also knew that I had nobody but myself to blame for my broken heart. I just hope that someday I can love again and stop hating myself.
Questions. 1. What is the difference between being in love and having a crush on someone? 2. Do you think you have ever been in love? Describe your feelings. 3. Being in love has been described as temporary insanity. If so, which is better, the sickness or the cure? Explain your answer in detail. Pictures talk. One. Questions. 1. Are your parents role models for you? Why or why not? 2. Describe your relationship with your parents. Are they your friends? Do you share things together? 3. Do you suppose your current relationship with your parents can change? Do you think it can develop into a more mature, positive one, or become worse?
2. Questions. 1. What do you think are the most important things in your life? What about your parents' lives? 2. Have you ever thought about defining a successful life? What sorts of things should a successful life include? 3. Adults often regret many things about their lives. What do your parents regret? Have you ever considered your parents' bad experiences as good lessons for you?
What's your advice? 1. I am desperate to get out of high school. I'm not learning anything useful and think the only important lessons are to be found in the real world. My uncle is a high school dropout but has become a successful businessman. I think I can make it too. I'm willing to work hard and do whatever is necessary. The problem, as always, is with my parents. They insist that I not only finish high school but also go to college. They keep saying, "Your uncle's case is very exceptional. It was hard for him to succeed decades ago, and it would be even harder for you today." What's worse, my uncle sides with my parents. What should I do? Is there any answer to my dilemma?
2. I am so mad at my parents. They always tell me, "It's your life and nobody can help you. You're always personally responsible for everything that happens." If that's true, I'm willing to accept that, with no resentment. I'm ready to face the consequences of my actions. But despite what they say, my parents keep butting into my affairs, advising me about everything from my hairstyle and clothes to makeup, even my boyfriends. I want my parents to leave me alone and let me make my own choices. How can I get them to accept that I'm an adult?